So as I remember, this was the last slide which we have discussed about the optical resonator. So once again, let me revise you few things so that it may create a continuity, okay, to understand. So last time, as we discussed, there are three main components of laser devices. One is active medium, the second is pumping source or pumping mechanism, and the third one is the optical resonator. So all the first two components we have discussed in proper depth. Okay, even this optical resonator also we have covered in the proper depth. But again, since this is the most important part of the laser device, okay, so it's very simple. As this resonator is nothing but basically a set of mirror facing to each other. Okay, and in between there is a gap. So that gap we are knowing as a cavity, and in that cavity we are placing the active medium. Okay, and you must know the properties of mirror, that one of the mirror is 100% reflective, okay, theoretically, and another of the mirror is around 90 to 95% reflecting case. Okay, so why we are keeping such difference? Because from one of the side your laser beam can be taken out from the system, so that's what we are keeping the difference between these two. But one side has to be completely reflective, 100% reflective theoretically, I'm saying. Okay, and this active medium is very important, as I said. Okay, and the important thing over here again is I'm emphasizing is the alignment which you are keeping in this. So this mirror and the optical axis of active medium, let me draw one more time, because last time also we discussed, but this time also you see, just 1 minute, I'm going to annotate this. Yeah, so somewhere at the center you consider this is the optical axis of active medium. Okay, and then there you see these mirrors which we are keeping perpendicular to this. Okay, don't go with the line because it may go to the little bit curve, but the purpose is very clear. This line as well as this optical axis of the active medium has to be perpendicular to each other. That's what the main thing you have to keep in mind in this case. The moment you make some angle, you tilt it, okay, you may see the different properties of laser light. So that all we are going to discuss later on. And then I told you that this is the simple setup which one can obtain, and this was given by the Fabry-Perot. So on the name of that, we are considering this as a Fabry-Perot optical resonator. And I also suggested you people that you can go to the depth, okay, and you can go refer to any book and find out more such setups which are available for resonator. Like plane mirror is there, instead of that you can use curve mirror also. So all such things you can easily go through that. Okay, now let me move to the further. See, this optical resonator we have discussed, but one can also need to understand what is the importance of optical resonator. Okay, so before going to the optical resonator, let me remind you the first two components also. First is the active medium. So you identify the importance of that. If suppose if no medium is there, no material is there, then of course you are not able to get the laser light, because you require some energy levels, and that energy levels has to be of some material, be it in solid form, in liquid form, or in gaseous form. So that's why material is the important part at the first step. Okay, if it is not there, then you cannot expect laser light from that, because then no energy levels are present in the system, so this everything will be useless. Coming to the second, suppose if you have the active medium but you don't have the pumping source or pumping mechanism, then again it is going to be useless, because you need to lift the atoms which are there in the ground state to the upper state. Okay, so that part is be done by the pumping source, or using the pumping mechanism, which are different for different medium. So that is also the important part, because now we understood the importance of all these two components. Now coming to the optical resonator, so we have seen the diagram on this slide. You can see all such things related to this we have discussed, but what is the importance of that? Okay, so you need to think in that manner. So here is the important or the requirement basically for using the optical resonator. So one by one we are discussing all such things, and let me tell you one thing, that now we are going slowly into the complexity in the laser physics, complex part into the laser physics. And to understand or to deal with that, you have to focus on the content which I am going to present over here, and we have lot of examples to understand with that. Okay, so the entire process seems to be very nice, very carefully. And let me tell you that if the same thing you are going to cover with the book, okay, by your own, it may be difficult to digest the content, like what is happening over here and how is it possible or something. There are so many things which you may not be familiar also. So that is why our role is here to explain the things in a proper sequence as well as with the simplicity. So let me go move down further. Okay, so here is the part, need of optical resonator. So you see I have highlighted 3 main points which required for the optical resonator. First part, to sustain stimulated emission and to increase the light intensity in a cumulative way. I mean, both I need to increase. Okay, I mean, I need to sustain the stimulated emission also. So now you people are familiar with that stimulated emissions are important to generate the laser light. So I need to sustain that within the optical inside the optical resonator. And the second part is I need to increase the light intensity also. So both this task I need to do in a cumulative way. एक साथ मुझे दोनों के बढ़ाने. So if I look at the first objective, first need of the simulator optical resonator, then how can I achieve this? I have written down the criteria that this is my requirement for the optical resonator. This is what I am expecting from this. But how I get or how I sustain the stimulated emission as well as how to increase the light intensity both at the same time. Okay, so this, for this, what they are using is they are considering a positive feedback of light, okay, into the medium. So this is must condition, because then only you are able to achieve the first criteria. Now let me explain it to you. What is the meaning of positive feedback? Okay, you people may have heard about the feedback system. Okay, positive feedbacks are also there, even negative feedbacks are also there. Both has their own benefit, okay, as well as some drawbacks also. But in general, if you consider, then always you need to prefer to the positive feedback in life actually. But in a subject like this, it depends on so many parameters. But here we are considering the positive feedback. Okay. Now, how this positive feedback we are giving to the system, into the medium, and why it is important, right? So to understand that, let me take you and let me give you an example. Okay, and I hope you people are comfortable with Hindi. So whatever the examples I said, it's prefer I choose the Hindi so that you can get the real flavor of that example. Otherwise I can talk into the English part also. That is not a problem. But to consider this, okay, I will mix both the language in English so that you can understand that example in a proper format. Now you just consider a case. Okay, suppose you are starting a business. Okay, just consider yourself as a businessman. Fine. Now if you are starting a business and let's say you have the capital of 100 rupees. Okay, of course you can put any zeros to that, but to make it simple, I am just keeping it 100. But if you think so, no, 100 is very small or something, then you can make or you can add zeros as per your requirement, and then accordingly you can manipulate with that. Okay, so I'm considering the example of 100, that you are trying to start your business with the amount of rupees 100. Okay, now after working few months, okay, suddenly since this lockdown is also happened and so many things are right. So you consider a case, let's say just before this lockdown period, let's maybe around January or February of this year. Okay, so you have started a business with the amount of 100 rupees. Okay, and after a certain month, there are so many factors. So now this time, let's say this lockdown, because of this, so you have purchased so the amount or the goods worth 100 rupees, but you're not able to sell it because of such scenario or such problem, whatever be the problem, let's say. But so you will be getting a loss, for example. Okay, you will be getting a loss, let's say 20 rupees loss you are having in the principal amount whichever you invested or you started the business. So at this moment you are at the loss. Fine. So you're now you want to recover it. So what you will do is, again you will work on, because this is the case where you consider as a negative feedback kind of, because now you have lost the amount. Okay, but your purpose is you need to increase. See, whatever the business you are going to start, everyone is objecting, everyone is expecting that their business will grow manifold. Okay, so later on you tried working on with your remaining amount. Okay, you keep working hard. Okay, and after certain months, let's say this lockdown has also passed. Okay, now every activity is on the forward move. Okay, and somehow you achieve the criteria. Okay, you reach, let's say, after this 2 3 month 4 month of this lockdown, you got something, and now again your original, I mean your working amount comes to the 100. That means whatever the loss you have earlier, now you have recovered it. Okay, now there are two cases you need to keep in mind. Okay, since you have collected your losses, okay, now again you are at the amount of rupees 100. There are two possibilities: either you can collect everything and leave that business because you have nothing, because you have not getting anything from that even after spending 4 to 5 months or something, then you take out all such money and then close that business. That is one way. The another way is you just keep on working, because now you got the confidence that yes, if I go to the 80 part, again I can gain it, I can come to the 100 again. So it boosted your confidence, and now again if you try that, okay, if I do little bit more, okay, if I do some work more, then I can be in the profit also in the coming months. So what you do, suppose I believe that you people are agree with me that you will choose the second path. Okay, that means since you have invested this much amount, you have invested this much amount of time also, so and now it is in the growth mode. So I suggest, or you people also will be agree with me, that now you will move forward and take the second route where you just work for few more months and want to come out into the profit part. So suppose after few months again you have done some good work, okay, and now your working amount is going to be rupees 120. Let's say 20% profit you got on the capital rate, so now it is the 120, let's say, for example. Fine. Now again there are two scenarios, there are two cases. Either you take whole 20 rupees profit, keep it separate, okay, and then again start with the rupees 100. First thing. Second thing is, whatever the profit you may have get, little amount of profit you take out from your business, and the remaining amount of the profit again you can put back into the system. That means put back into the business. For example, your working amount is now 120, so out of that you can take, let's say, 10 rupees profit, okay, for your other requirements, and remaining 10 rupees profit which you have on the principal amount, that 10 rupees again you are going to invest into the business. So I hope you people are thinking in that direction. And since I know that most of the people are Gujarati, even if it is not the case, then also people are thinking always in terms of money. So you just consider that if I need to expand my business, if I need to increase my business, okay, then what I need to do is whatever the profit I am getting from that, I need to invest some amount of the profit again into the business so that it can expand very easily, okay, in very comfortable mode. But if you take out all the profit of rupees 20, let's say, if you take out from the business and then again you try to start with the same amount which you have earlier, then you are not going to be get a growth in your business even though you started with the same amount or something. So always, to increase the output, what you required is a positive feedback is always required, and that's what we are considering in the case of optical resonator. So whatever the gain, the intensity or the stimulated emissions we are getting from this optical resonator, okay, always some amount of this output we need to feed back to the system so that our cumulative output is going to be large, okay, and it is going to be large in a very short period of time. So that is what the requirement of positive feedback is important in this case to fulfill the first criteria or the first need which we are going to use in the optical resonator. So I hope this idea of positive feedback is clear to you people, because if we are going to give positive feedback, that means some amount of gain which we are obtaining from this, again we are giving back to the system so that my first task can be fulfilled very easily. Okay, so that's what we are doing it. Okay, second thing, if you go in the second need of optical resonator, now you see, as I have discussed earlier also in my starting lectures, that whenever the particles or the atoms are in there in the excited state, always it will come down to the lower state. Okay, either it can come down by its own, so that process we are saying is a spontaneous process, a spontaneous emission process. If it is coming down with the help of some external source, then that process we are saying as a stimulated emission process. Okay, so again, if you remember, I must have told you that both the process are happening. Okay, the only difference is spontaneous process is happening by its own, so we don't have any control at which time it will occur. But in the case of stimulated emission process, we have the control. Okay, so if you look into the second point which we have which we are going to discuss over here in the need of optical resonator, so look at here. So this spontaneous photon is going to be emitted. Okay, as I said, this process is going on. The only thing is we don't know the time at which particular interval it will going to emit. Okay, so you look at the second point again. These spontaneous photons are emitted by the atoms, and that is independently in various directions. So if you remember the first three process, first is the absorbing process, second is the spontaneous emission process, third is the stimulated emission process. So this second process, spontaneous emission process, I must have told you also in the earlier lecture that this is going to be in random order completely. Okay, so whatever the photon coming out from this process, it is completely random. Okay, it can go in any direction, along x, along y, along z, or it can make certain angle also. So it cannot be decided, it cannot be predicted, it is completely random. So that is why now these photons which are coming out from the spontaneous process are going to interact with the active medium, and they will try to generate or will produce more number of stimulated emission in different directions. Okay, so earlier these particular spontaneous photons are useless because they are emitting randomly, but somehow if these spontaneous photons I can use it, okay, so then the purpose of optical resonator will be fulfilled. That means if I use these photons to trigger the stimulated emission process, so that will solve my purpose. Otherwise every time I need to provide extra energy from the source, external source. So that is why you keep up putting the energies, and so many energies are going to be waste in via the spontaneous process. But if that spontaneous process photon, if you are going to utilize in such a manner that it can trigger to the stimulated emission process, then the purpose of this optical resonator is solved, and that's how we are doing in that. Okay, so to achieve this second criteria, we require the optical resonator, because in that only we are keeping the active medium, and that photons which are coming out from this via the spontaneous process, that are going to interact with the active medium continuously. Okay, so all such also we are going to discuss in detail, but this is the primary objective which we are fulfilling with the optical resonator. The third is an intense beam of light. Okay, an intense beam of light can be taken from the system only when the optical gain exceeds the optical losses. Now again, as I talked about the gain and losses, okay, don't need to worry about this optical part. Optical in the sense, since mirrors etc we are using in this set. Okay, so the setup or the gain coming out from such setup we are knowing as a optical gain. If losses are there, then we are knowing as a optical losses. So if you remember the example which I have given in the first process, same example can be applied to the third process also. You can take out the gain, okay, from the system only when your losses are less compared to the gain. Okay, just again giving the same example. You have the working amount of 100. Initially you got loss. Okay, you come to the 80 rupees, but now in that case you cannot take out the profit because profit is not there, it is loss only. So you recovered that, you come to the 100, and then at a time you go to the 120 also. So the moment you go to the 120, now you can consider yourself in the gain of rupees 20. So that particular gain you can take it out from the system, because now you have surpassed the losses which you have earlier. So that is what in the laser case also, if your optical gain from the simulator, I mean this resonator, is much more than optical losses, or it exceeds, then you can take out the signal from the optical resonator as a laser signal. Okay, so all these three criteria are going to be fulfilled with the help of optical resonator. That's why we are saying optical resonator is also the very important part of any laser device. Okay, sir. An important thing is, as I said, if you remember in the earlier also, and in the laser name itself, they are saying that light is getting amplified. But how it is getting amplified? It is because the oscillation between the signal between a set of mirrors. Okay, so this active medium will act like as a oscillator basically. So in एक oscillator के बीच में you need to keep on moving your photons back and forth. Okay, and that's what you are going to achieve your criterias with this. Okay, and you are going to increase the signals. So let me come down to the next. Here is the working part. Okay, to generate, just 1 minute. Yeah, here is the working. Let me write it down or explain it out also. Okay, so to generate a coherent light output, it is necessary that photons with a specific directions are selected while others are rejected. So now you see, as I said, if you remember also that laser light is highly directed, highly coherent. Okay, so if you want to generate a coherent light output as well as the directionality also, then whatever the photons which are emitting randomly through the spontaneous process, you need to reject it. Okay, so the only photons which are passing through parallel to the optical axis of active medium, that only you have to keep in within the or inside the optical resonator. Other photons which are emitting randomly and which are not compiled with this specific directions, then that photons you need to reject. So in this case, if you are going to reject such photons, spontaneous photons which are not in the line of optical axis or parallel to the optical axis line, then that photons are going to be discarded. So if you discard the photons, that means you are losing some amount of energy. Okay, so this part one can consider as if the photons which are emitting via the spontaneous process, if it is not parallel to the optical axis of the active medium, then such kind of photons we are discarding or rejecting. So if you are doing so, some amount of photons or some amount of energy you are going to lose it. So that's what this step one can consider it as a loss step. That means in this process, if it is not parallel to that, you are losing the energy. That means you are getting loss. Okay, so you keep in mind. Again, we'll discuss this in a proper detail. Now coming to the second part, as I said, if you want to amplify the light, okay, so maximum possible case will be when these stimulated photons are to be made to pass through the medium a number of times. As I said, it will whatever the spontaneous photons which are going to the parallel of the optical axis medium, they will interact with the this active medium part. Okay, and then it will create the stimulated emission process. So that photons are going to be coming out stimulated via the stimulated process a number of times, which is possible, and that is how you can amplify the light signal. Okay, or laser light basically. The third thing is the working. May you see the photons, as I said again, the same thing. I mean, the statement 1 is more generalized. In the statement 3 over here, in this part, you see, so photons emitted in any direction other than parallel to the optical axis will pass out of the sides of the resonator and are lost. And sides say you need to, the mechanism such that the randomly oriented photons will go out from the resonator, and we don't need to worry about that, because if we are keeping such photons also in the system, then we cannot get the directionality in laser beam. And if you must be knowing that these are the properties of laser light, that it has to be highly coherent as well as highly directional. So if you keep all such kind of random photons also in the system, then directionality will not be there. Okay, so that is why I have written in the last, the mirrors, it gives the directional selectivities. And that is why I told you in the beginning that this mirror has to be perpendicular to the optical axis of active medium. So if it is the case, then only you will get the maximum directionality. But if you make certain angle or if you tilt it, then you see the changes in the directionality property of laser light. Okay, so this is what this working principle is generally working. Now coming to the next one. Okay, here is the process again, second part. Okay, so this laser beam oscillation begins when the amount of amplified light becomes equal to the total amount of light lost through the sides of resonator, through the mirrors, and through the absorbing of medium. Now, as we have discussed in the requirement, if you remember, I told you this optical gains, I mean, you can take out the signal from the optical resonator only when your optical gains are more compared to the optical losses. So when this process is going on inside the resonator, Okay, this amplified light, I mean the amount of amplified light has to be equal or more than that the lost light. Okay, now whatever the possible way in which your light can be lost, I mean the photons energy can be lost. So these are the three possible cases which I am going to highlight over here. You see this, the sides of the resonator, because I said that whatever the photons which are not coming out parallel to the optical axis of active medium, they will be discarded, okay, through sides of the resonator. So जो resonator है, from that side they will be discarded because it is not going parallel to the optical axis. So here also we are getting the energy loss because that photons we are discarding, so energy loss will be there. Second is through the mirrors. Let me, okay, second is through the mirrors. That means in the beginning, if you look at carefully, I told you that there are two mirrors facing to each other. One is 100% reflecting and the second is 90 to 95% is reflecting. So this is the theoretical limit. Again, I must have said earlier that this was the theoretically considered thing, that one is the 100% reflective mirror, second is 90 to 95% reflecting mirror. But if you go to the practical side or in real life, nothing is 100%. Okay, so some amount of the light are always, are chances are there that that particular light can escape through the mirrors also. Okay, because it is not 100% reflective. Theoretically we are saying that's fine, but 100% is not possible in practical life. So okay, so few percent of error will be there, and because of that some amount of light can pass through that. Okay, so here also we are getting a loss. Now the third component you see, through the absorption by the medium. Now again it is very important, whatever the medium you consider, okay, so you cannot say it is not absorbing anything. Okay, it is always absorbing some amount of energy, so some energy loss can be seen at this place also. So all these three sides are considering for the loss factor. Okay, so these are reducing factor basically, you say. Okay, so if you consider a business, so these are the factors which are affecting your gain or the actual amount or the principal amount. But how you overcome with that? So you need to keep on amplifying your signal inside the resonator, so that at a moment when you think that now the amount of amplified signal is more than these losses, then you can take out the signal from that. Okay, now again you see, as I written over here in the last one, as the oscillations build up to enough intensity, light emerges, as I said earlier also, emerges through the front mirror. Now this front mirror is which one? Front mirror is the one which has 90 to 95% reflectivity, okay, which we discussed in the optical resonator diagram. So the one which has the 90 to 95% reflectivity, that mirror we are considering as a front mirror, or simply you consider the mirror from which we are taking out the output. Okay, so that mirror is known as the front mirror. Okay, and if intensity is built up largely, so then you see we get a highly collimated intense beam of laser light which is coming out from the optical resonator. So this is how this entire process of optical resonator I have explained to you, where you must focus on the need, then you must see the working also. So now it is very clear when to take out the signal from optical resonator, only when the amplified signal is large compared to all such losses which are there in the system. And it is obvious thing, so that is why I have given you the example of business in, you can consider a profit only when all such losses, okay, with the traveling loss, okay, or some workers, you are spending the amount on workers or something, so all such stuff once you cover it, then only you will consider yourself in the case of profit or gain. Okay, so collimated is nothing but basically these are aligned, okay, in a particular direction, so you consider as a highly directed beam, nothing to worry with that. Okay, so these are just the technical terms, nothing more than that. And I told you earlier also that laser light is highly coherent, okay, highly directed. Okay, so all such things are there, but one more time again we'll discuss in the case of properties of laser light at the end of the lecture. Okay, not in the at the end of the, let's say, this laser topics, that time we can discuss the properties of laser light in more details. So I hope this part is also clear to you, so let me clear it out. Don't worry, all such doubts we are going to take at the end of the lectures. Okay, so let me move it further. another important criteria which you have to keep in mind while designing or while using the optical resonator. Okay, so if you people say, let me make a diagram over here. So you see on the screen, I am going to create a diagram of optical resonator like this. Okay, so let's say these two are the mirrors. Somewhere in between, let me keep this active medium. So this is your active medium which you have placed inside. Now you see when your signal is passing through this back and forth, so photon is going to be like this particularly so many time back and forth they are going to do passing through the medium. Okay, so whatever the mediums you see the size, it has to be fit almost to this space, and that signal is going to pass through several times through the active medium. Now what happens is, each time this signal is getting reflected, basically it follows a standing waves. So if you people are aware with that, standing waves basically are happening between two fixed place or strings or nodes, whatever you say. So you see it is keep on reflecting from one side to the another side like this. Okay, inside that. So whatever the signal is going to travel between the optical resonance, I mean between the set of mirrors, it follows a standing wave pattern. Okay, so whenever I say standing waves, that means it must follow the criteria of 2D equal to n lambda, and I hope you people are aware with this. Okay, recently since you have coming out from the 11th or 12th, so this criteria you might have seen or you might have studied also, that 2D equal to n lambda criteria has to satisfy, where this d is nothing but d is the thickness between the mirrors. So whatever, let's say again, let me draw it. Okay, so this space between the mirrors, this one. Okay, so this space we are knowing as a d. Fine, n is the integer, lambda is the wavelength. Okay, so there are so many, I mean this integer you can select it 1 2 3 4 and all such things you are knowing that, but again in the later slide I will discuss it that also, so that in one single attempt you get all such picture in clear format.
Sir,
Okay, so what is that criteria again? Let me write it
sir,
down. Since I said inside the resonator there is a standing wave pattern. Okay, so what happens is, it has, if I'm saying that standing waves, then it has to follow the 2D equal to n lambda criteria. I have written over here the exact meaning. Okay, so you can read it out, no problem, but this is how you need to keep in mind. 2D equal to n lambda, d is the distance between the mirrors, n is the integer, and lambda is the wavelength. Okay, so now coming to the next, so that you can get more idea about the standing waves part. Okay, but since you already know that, so I may skip a few of the content also, so it may be clear to you also. Let me move it. Yeah, so here it is the same. Now the important thing is, since I am saying that this okay, let me move it little bit. So if I am saying this as a standing wave, then you see whatever the wavelength you see, which is very important part, you have to keep in mind this one. Only the wavelength which are satisfying this 2D equal to n lambda equation, that can only exist inside the cavity in a steady state. Okay, that means if wavelength is not satisfying that 2D equal to n lambda criteria, then you need to discard that. Okay, you need to discard that photon. So that is why it is very important that if we are saying standing waves, then it must satisfy 2D equal to n lambda. And you see again what happens to the other case. So waves of other wavelength interfere destructively with each other as they pass back and forth between the mirrors. Thus they attenuate very quickly. So if they are passing, I mean any random wavelength which is not satisfying the criteria of 2D equal to n lambda, so that will be attenuate over here. Okay, now someone is saying that energy can decrease, amplitude should also decrease. So let me tell you that if there are two mirrors, okay, if the waves are or the signals are going on back and forth from one mirror to the another mirror, okay, so you consider a case like this. Let's say something like you signal, you can make it on the screen. Okay, but what about if after reflecting from the second mirror, if this signal is again moving down to the same phase, something like this. Okay, now what happens if both these signals are in the same direction, you see, I mean this amplitude wise. Okay, so if you take the collective output, okay, because in the amplitude we know that this collective output, if you want to know of this, then it is going to be the larger one. That means something larger. Okay, something like that. So the important thing over is, so this is how you see this amplitude is getting large, provided this signal has to be reflected in the same order, in the same phase, then only this part is going to be create a amplitude, larger amplitude, because you know that the property of interference, that if two signals are facing or moving, their amplitudes are same, okay, something they are matching at each point, then the resultant intensity or the amplitude will be larger, as we have seen over there. Okay, now this is theoretical only, which I am saying, it is almost exactly, but always there is some difference. In the another part is which you have to keep in mind, whenever the signal is, let me create over here, whenever the signal is going from this side and striking to this, so mirror changes the phase also. Okay, so it will come like this. Okay, this is the property of mirror. You can just read it out. If signal is passing through or signal is striking to the mirror part, then what happens, it changes the phase. So if it is striking to this manner, then it will change the phase, and it will be like in the opposite direction, which you see on the screen, which I have prepared over here. But if you go to the more depth further, then they are putting an arrangement, and as per that, what they is, instead of this they will try to prefer, I mean, they will try an arrangement so that the reflected wave will come in the same order. Okay, so that their resultant amplitude will be larger, and we know that if the amplitude is larger, then intensity is directly depending on that. Okay, so intensity is nothing but the amplitude is square. So if amplitude is getting large via such process, but remember I told you one thing, you need to keep some arrangement over here, that then only you can see this part, intensity will increase. Otherwise this phase will change over here at the end of the mirror, and you will be ending of the signal, you will get lost in that part, right? So that's how you need to carefully select this or selectively choose such mechanism. Attenuate in the sense it is just a loss. Okay, so you consider attenuate is a technical word, but the meaning is that you are losing the signal. Okay, just 1 minute, then yeah. So now you see again there is a standing waves. So those who are new, okay, or maybe not heard about this, but I hope this is the 11th-12th concept you have going through already. So it is also known as a stationary wave. Okay, so a wave in a medium in which each point on the axis of the wave has a constant amplitude. So I'm not going to discuss further in the case of standing waves, because it is not the current semester topic, but just to give you the idea, the important is now this mode part. So many people are having doubt how this standing waves looks like, or how this pattern are going to be considered inside that. So you look it into the picture. Okay, so and many people are aware with that also, that whenever the amplitude is maximum, that we are knowing as a antinode. Whenever the amplitude is minimum, at this moment you see here and there, so this will be considered, let me annotate it also. So at this place, okay, so here the amplitude is maximum, so we are considering as an antinode, and here you see this is minimum. Okay, so this place we are knowing as a nodes. So node antinodes are there always. So depending on that, and again you see this formula 2d equal to n lambda. Instead of d, they have considered capital L. So don't need to worry, the formula, the pattern is almost same. It all depends how you are choosing the distance between the mirrors, d or L or whatever. So it is how this formula is. Okay, and this is known as first harmonic or the fundamental. Okay, in which one antinode and two nodes are there. Now coming to the second one, again same formula 2d equal to n lambda, but now you are changing the integer value of n. Okay, 1 2 3 4 5, n value you are changing, and accordingly you see that again in the second diagram there are two nodes, two antinodes, and 1 2 and 3 nodes are there. Same way you can classify it or identify it. Here you see 1 2 3, so basically 3 antinodes, but if you consider the nodes, then 1 2 3 4 such nodes are there, and each such you name it properly. Either you call it as the first harmonic, second harmonic, third harmonic, fourth harmonic, either, or otherwise they are calling it as a first one is the fundamental one. Okay, let me clear it out so that you can see. So look at here, if n equal to 1, then that will be considered as the first harmonic, or you say as a fundamental mode. But n equal to 2, then you consider as a second harmonic or first overtone. If n is equal to 3, then you see third harmonic or second overtone. So see, overtone is nothing but the same harmonic or this loops you are seeing, right? That's what we are saying. How many overtone or loops are coming out in that pattern? That's what. Okay. So either you consider as harmonic or you consider as overtone. Nothing to worry about that. So this is how standing waves can be represented. Okay, but it all depends on the node and antinode part. How many nodes, antinodes are there? So I think this part is clear. So let's move it to this again, node and antinode. So whenever you see amplitude is minimum, we are saying as node, and whenever the amplitude is maximum, we are calling it as the antinodes.